Code monkey, get up, get coffee. Code monkey, go to job. Code monkey, have boring meeting with boring manager Rob. Rob say code monkey very diligent, but his output stink. His code not functional or elegant. What do code monkey think? Code monkey think maybe manager wanna write login page himself. Code monkey not say it out loud. Code monkey not crazy, just proud. Code monkey like Fritos. Code monkey like Tab and Mountain Dew. Code monkey very simple man. Big warm fuzzy secret heart. Code monkey like you. Code monkey like you.
What's new, Dino Dudes? It's me, the Raptor, and, well, welcome back. For some reason, Transmorphers got a prequel thing. Yeah, in 2009, Transmorphers Fall of Man came out. I'm honestly like 99.9% sure that this has only happened because Transformers came out around that time as well. I'm just checking this. Yep, because in 2009, Revenge of the Fallen came out, so I guess the Asylum went, hey, rather than come up with another ripoff, let's just make a sequel to one of our already established things. So if you remember my review of last time, and if you haven't seen that, then why are you watching this one? It's a review sequel to a review I just did. Like, the video is only like 9 minutes long. Just go watch it, please. Yeah, just long story short, I thought it was okay. It was nothing too great, but it was pretty bad, but it was not like the fun kind of bad, so it was just a thing. Transmorphers Fall of Man, on the other hand, is exactly what I was hoping for with the first one. This movie is stupid, cheesy, dumb, unpredictable, and one of the weirdest movies I have ever seen, with multiple times it made me genuinely shout out loud when I recently rewatched it, "What?" or "No!" It is the Asylum at peak Asylumness, if that's even a word. Who cares? Let's talk about it. So, Transmorphers Fall of Man is set in 2009. Essentially, it's this whole story about how, the robots came to attack Earth, and then they would eventually take over, and blah, blah, blah. Except the movie itself says they're not aliens like the last one said, and they later say in this very movie, they say, no, we built these things. Like, the government says, yeah, no, we built them, that's our bad, They were like robots we built to be to be soldiers essentially, and now they're going rogue, and it's very dumb, and the movie itself can't even keep that straight. But this one does kind of seem to have a bit more of an actual story, so how's the story? Bad, basic, but it does at least get the job done. The story is pretty simple. This small group of people come together when they find out there's these weird machines going around killing people. That then leads to them finding out, okay, if we were able to shut down this one radio tower, maybe that would cause all of them to shut down because they wouldn't be able to communicate with each other. But of course, then they realize, wow, there's a lot more of these. We need to go stop them. We need to hit the plant where they're building more. Like, even though they said they were aliens that were coming from another planet where they were being built there, but maybe this new factory is so they can kind of make more energy for them while they're on Earth. They mentioned terraforming and changing the water, but they're robots, so I don't think they need to eat or drink. That's not Transformers. I don't know. So you might be thinking, okay, if the plot is that dumb that you can barely comprehend it, why do you like this so much? Here's the thing. This movie has choices made in it that are so dumb, the characters I wrote when I was in high school making videos for a media production class in grade 9 would look at them and go, wow, you guys are stupid. In 9th grade, heck, even back in 6th grade when I started making videos in general, the choices I at least did made sense. Let me give you an example. A great example. It's honestly, this is a bit of a spoiler, but this movie came out in 2009. It's 11 years old. I can tell you this. If you like bad movies, you will really enjoy this one once it picks up. But they capture this phone transmorpher thing. Where that thing was in the previous film, nobody knows. But, okay, so they have one. It's been deactivated. The leader of the army says, "Don't worry, we're putting it into a secure vault surrounded by armed personnel." You know what a secure vault with armed personnel means? A box. A box with essentially a handle you would get at, say, a dollar store. No locks whatsoever. You can clearly see it's just a safe they're putting it into, and surrounded by armed guards means one person. Now, okay, you might be going, "Okay, Raptor, calm down, dude. It's by the Asylum. These don't have a budget. What do you expect?" That's not what I'm getting at, though. About not 5 minutes later, the same guy who has been guarding this thing, who knows this is a killer robot, hears this weird sound coming from the safe, from the, the vault, the place they're holding this phone robot. Which, by the way, was deactivated. How it came back, I have no idea. But anyhow, that's not important. Sorry, I'm getting off topic again. It buzzes a few times, and this highly trained military professional turns around, says, "What the heck is that?" opens the safe, and the whole place blows up. I wish I was joking, but I am not. And it is so stupid. Like, so unbelievably stupid that I kind of love it. Like, it's stuff like that that is just so weird and so bizarre that you can't help but burst out laughing at it. As with the previous one, where I talked about the characters saying they're literally just actors who are here trying to emote but failing, this one actually kind of has a little bit of characterization. I'm not saying this is good characterization, but they at least have some characterization. For example, the main character, played by Shane Van Dyke, who I thought I knew him from stuff. He was in Chernobyl Diaries and Titanic 2. That's where I knew him from. He's essentially this guy who was in the military, came home, and is clearly suffering from some sort of issue. He also happens to be a, ex-bomb diffuser or something. And then there is Jennifer Rubin. No, wait, sorry, that's a... No, there's Alana Demara. Sorry, I got the wrong name. We'll get to her in a minute. There's Alana Demara, who's essentially this woman who's just kind of living her day-to-day life. And she and Jake, Shane's character, used to be a thing, I believe. And then they broke up or something. They actually never explain it. And then she's all mad when he shows up to fix her satellite because she's like, "Wait, you got back, why didn't you call me?" Like, lady, if you weren't a thing, he really has no obligation to do that. Plus, I'm pretty sure he's suffering from, PTSD, so give him a break already. But none of that matters. And finally, we have the one character who you will probably actually like, played by Tron himself, Bruce Boxleitner. I'm probably mispronouncing that, I'm sorry. Playing, what's his name? Look, none of these characters are... Oh, Officer Ryan is what they call him. Essentially, he's essentially this police officer, I can't believe I had to say that out loud, I'm sorry, who kind of gets roped in when these bodies start turning up with these weird wounds on them. In fact, that alone could actually be a rather interesting film. Because the robots are killing people with, lasers and stuff, it's something that humans have never seen. That actually is kind of an interesting plot point. Too bad that most of the movie is spent on them running around screaming and being chased by a car that's driving itself, despite the fact that you can see the person driving the car, and I'll get to that in a minute. So, the writing is bad. You want to know how bad the writing is? So, there's a movie on Netflix, I believe, currently, called Space Mutiny. It's under Mystery Science Theater 3000. There is a character you very clearly see die. Gets shot multiple times by lasers. Next scene, she's sitting at a chair working away. Now, maybe that was meant to be a different character that the same actress is playing. Maybe the scenes were put out of order. Who knows? the dead character came back to life. I want you guys to take a look at the cover for a second. Just get a general idea of how big those things are. They are essentially saying these things are big enough to grab a tank. And I think they're that big. We never really get a good shot of them because they always kind of recycle the same shot, and I'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, so these things have giant lasers. Like, they have big laser cannons they use to blow stuff up and shoot people. So, okay, going back to Alana's character, whatever, hang on, sorry, I'm just gotta check. Yeah, Madison, she's trying to distract them, so she's running. You see it aim its laser at her, fire, and this big explosion goes off right in front of her. The whole thing goes up in flames, everyone freaks out knowing she's dead. About 5 minutes later, she just walks up like, hey, I'm totally fine. What? Again, and the thing is, that happens more than once. There's about 3 or 4 times in this movie when a character straight up dies and then decides, you know what, I'm not feeling like dying today, I'm just gonna keep living. Don't get me wrong, I like that because it's stupid. And if you're just watching this video thinking, man, this guy likes anything if it's bad, welcome to my channel. I had an entire month themed around bad shark movies. It's kind of what I do here. So, Transmorphers Fall of Man is really poorly written, but it's at least super entertaining. Something that did surprise me was the acting. Some of the actors, like Shane Van Dyke and Alana DeMarno, I'm probably mispronouncing that, are not good actors, but they at least kind of try. And it's weird, like, half their lines are actually okay to decent. The other half, they're just saying their lines out loud. Oh my gosh, there are giant robots attacking. We need to do something. We're all going to die now. Like, can't you tell how upset I am about this from my acting? And it mostly also has to do with the way it's shot, and I'll talk about that in a minute. I know I keep saying that, I'm sorry. But Bruce Boxleitner, if I believe I'm pronouncing that right, actually turns in a pretty good performance. For what I've seen, I actually have not seen Tron or Tron Legacy, but the other things I've seen him in, he's usually a pretty good actor, and in this, he actually turns in a decent performance, especially for a movie from the Asylum. Now, here's the one thing that genuinely bugged me. Jennifer Rubin. That name might sound familiar to some of you, so I'm gonna simply tell you guys the one thing you might know her from. A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. She was Taryn. I believe that's the goth chick in that movie. The one who was, I believe she was the heroin addict that, became the punk rocker and stuff like that. Yeah, that's her. She can act. In this movie, sometimes in the middle of a line, she goes from genuinely emoting, being kind of scared, or like, what's going on, to, listen, we need to get out of here. There's giant robots coming, and we need to move fast because they're going to kill all of us. Okay, not even that. Like, even just that had more emotion and quality than she put into her role sometimes. Like, there are times when she'll just quite literally go, okay, what do we do now? They're giant robots. They will kill us. And I'm like, you have been in a ton of movies. You can act. What are you doing? I don't know. Special effects. They look terrible. It's not much of an improvement. The robots do look cool, but there's a number of shots when, like, say, because it turns out these things are also chest bursters. So this one robot, bursts out of a dude's chest, and there's like going like on his chest, and there's a hole. Thing is, let's say he's lying here. Like, this is the guy. You can see the effect about that far above his shirt where it should be. Like, they didn't even try and like cut it or put like fake blood on it. The whole thing is just CG'd over it, and it looks really distracting. Plus, the Transmorphers, they tend to kind of use the same shot of this one Transmorpher walking forward, shooting and menacing people, like, over and over and over because, again, no budget. I guess they just kind of had to make do with what they had. That being said, this movie's also shot weird. You could say this about my videos as well, and that's why I've been trying to make them shorter. The whole film is very static, or very shaky. What I mean by that, for those of you who don't know film terms, static is what this is. That's kind of why I tend to try and, move around a little bit or be expressive. Because, well, if I was just sitting here talking like this for 8 minutes, you'd probably be pretty bored. But imagine this for a full-length movie. That, or constant shaking, and I'm too lazy to get up and move my camera around, so, like that, constantly. That's what this movie is. Plus, the audio mixing is surprisingly bad. Not nearly as bad as one other movie I'm going to review pretty soon, but I'll get to that when we get to that. At the end of the day, I can recommend Transmorphers Fall of Man. Again, I don't know where you would find a copy. I don't know where I think this copy I found at like a dollar store or like a hawk shop. But if you can find it, or even if you go on like Amazon Video, if you're in the mood for just a bad movie that you can just laugh at with your friends or get some friends over, crack open some beers and make jokes, I can recommend Transmorphers Fall of Man. It's pretty slow in the beginning, like the first 20 minutes kind of drag, but then there's so many things you can just point and laugh at. Like, for example, there is multiple scenes when this car is supposed to be driving itself, and yet you can see somebody dressed entirely in black holding the steering wheel because they forgot to get gloves that cover the hand completely so you can see the tips of the fingers holding the wheel, and the camera is trying to not show like the top part of the whole car because they would give it away. But that makes it, when you do see it, all the funnier because at least they tried to cover it up. Not very well, but they at least tried. Again, quality, I actually could give this maybe a half a Raptor Claw out of 4. It's bad, but there's at least a little bit of effort. Entertainment, definitely like 2.5 Raptor Claws out of 4. It's no Sharknado, but it certainly is an oddity of a film. And it's worth watching, just even out of morbid curiosity. So, with that being said, you may have noticed I've been on a bit of a binge of these like Sci-Fi Channel movies, and we're not done yet. So it turns out, very soon, I'm going to be hitting the 250th episode. So I figured, let's take things back before we hit that. Let's talk about the Sci-Fi Channel movies that I built this channel on originally. And no, I'm not going to be re-reviewing like Sharktopus or Sharknado again. I'm going to take you guys further back. Back before I had this channel. Back before I even knew what YouTube was. Back when I wanted to make a movie review podcast under the name Mountain Dude Reviews. I'm taking you guys way back. And we're going to take a look at the first movie I ever reviewed under that name. And believe me, it's going to be a good one. So until next time, this has been the Media Raptor saying keep cool, and I'll see all you dino dudes around. Later.